in a startling and bizarre incident that has left the quiet suburb of Middlesex in shock.
Hello, my name is Jim Cunningham, and welcome to Controlling Fear.
Einstein once said, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Donnie Darko is the kind of movie where the writer and director Richard Kelly, he can't explain it simply.
The film is about life. It's about the death of the Reagan era. It's about a whole lot of things.
It's this enigma of a movie which has fascinated people for years. And it's such an amazing concept. This weird cross-genre sci-fi, horror, teenage drama. There's two ways of watching Donnie Darko. You can either watch the theatrical release and just go,
brilliant! I have absolutely no idea what's going on.
Or you do what's worse and try to understand the film. You end up down this weird rabbit hole of tangent universes and god machines. In this video, I'm going to explain my theory on how the Darko Universe works, what the gods are like and what their intentions are, and then give you my thoughts on whether there should be more stories told in this universe. But before we get into that, here is a quick recap, and just try the best you can to bear with me because it ain't simple. Hey, this is Dave from the future. I just want to thank Lee HS4GP for recommending that I do Donnie Darko. Back to the video. The film is set in 1988 in the fictional town of Middlesex, USA. Our main character is a teenage boy called Donnie Darko, who is a chronic sleepwalker. One night, a jet engine crashed into Donnie's bedroom. A supernatural being called Frank saved him, but caused Donnie and the jet engine to be transported into a parallel universe, which the movie calls tangent universes. You can't have two of the same object in a tangent universe, otherwise it could break the space-time continuum. So with the aid of Frank and some of the other residents of Middlesex, it's up to Donnie to get that jet engine back to his universe, but ultimately sacrificing himself in the process. Now to start with, I want to give my theory about how I think the universe works. And I drew this from two sources. First is from the In-Universe book, The Philosophy of Time Travel by Roberta Sparrow, and from the director's commentary. So, here's the gist of it. There's a prime universe where everything belongs, including the god of this movie who resides somewhere in the future. This god can influence the events of the prime universe, but seems to be hesitant to, as maybe it risks their own future. That's why they create alternative universes, which the movie calls tangent universes. And that way they can experiment with changing events in the prime universe to see what happens. Where they change the event, that becomes the nexus point. Now these tangent universes are very, very unstable, and they only last about a lunar cycle. As they start to blink out of existence, on a very rare occasion, an object might be duplicated, which is known as an artifact. In this unstable tangent universe, you can't have the same object occupying two spaces. And as the universe starts to blink out of existence, this can cause a black hole which can destroy the prime universe. So when this event occurs, the only way to save the universe is take either the artifact or the original object to the more stable prime universe, where one object can occupy two spaces. So now, let's get to the plot. The inciting incident is when an artifact, in this case a jet engine, from a tangent universe, lands in Donnie's bedroom. Being that the jet engine already exists in this universe, a black hole will be created in 28 days. So this god who initially created the tangent universe now has to manipulate the people of Middlesex and grant Donnie Darko superpowers so he can get this jet engine back to the prime universe, saving the universe, but unfortunately killing Donnie in the process. But this is what I don't understand. Most of the movie takes place in a tangent universe, which means that this artifact must have come from a different tangent universe. And if Donnie's bedroom is the nexus point, why didn't it just fall into the prime universe to begin with? Even the writer himself said he couldn't explain the jet engine.
I couldn't sleep at night because I'm like, I couldn't figure out what all this means with this jet engine and...
So here's my theory on that. The gods or gods from the future know about the rare occurrence of artifacts, and so they created a failsafe. When an artifact is created, as a failsafe, it will fall into the primary universe at the nexus point. But this failsafe caused the death of Donnie. So to save Donnie, this god spoke to Donnie in the Prime universe, making him leave his bedroom. But while trying to save Donnie, he accidentally created an alternative tangent universe. That's how the artifact landed in the tangent universe to begin with. And this is why Donnie couldn't just run out of his bedroom at the end. He'd be stuck in a cycle of creating alternate tangent universes. Now on to the next question. Why was Donnie's bedroom the nexus point to begin with? Before I could get into that theory, I had to sort of figure out what kind of gods we were dealing with. In the director's commentary, Richard Kelly states that this god has stuffed up the space-time continuum, and now they have to go and fix it. This makes me think it's a human with future technology, but the movie also references god machines.
The Deus Ex Machina, the god machine.
Also, Richard Kelly states that this god is looking back into 1988 and contacting a boy called Donnie. But Donnie is not the only person that this god has been contacting. In fact, this god has influence over many of the people in Middlesex. But the person he influences the most is Frank. Frank is pretty much his avatar for the film. It's also implied that he contacted Roberta Sparrow. So what does Donnie, Frank, and Roberta all have in common? They all have death in common. Donnie dodges death, and is dead by the end of the film. Frank is a manipulated dead, and Roberta Sparrow, they call her Lady Death. Donnie's girlfriend Gretchen, she has a weird fascination with death. Gretchen wanted to make their first kiss special. And when was the first kiss? After she was teased by a bully for her mother being stabbed by her father. And when Donnie and Gretchen first do the deed, it's right after Gretchen's mother disappears, and Gretchen is fearing that her stepfather might have kidnapped and killed her mother. And Donnie and Frank both have this fascination with surrealist art. Now they're the two characters that have the best connection to this god, and maybe the way they feel, they interpret through their art. So I think whatever god this is of the future, he'd appear to us nowadays as some sort of Lovecraftian monster. Maybe this is a future where humans can transfer their consciousness into other vessels, but these vessels would just seem completely alien to us. And to say these gods descended from humans is not as far-fetched as you think. I mean, in the real world we have cargo cults. Maybe humans of the future would look just as alien to us as Western culture does to remote tribes. So back to the original question, why was Donnie's bedroom the nexus point? Well, I think Donnie's been part of many nexus points. The first time this god speaks to Donnie, he says,
"Wake up. I've been watching you."
And at the start of the movie, Donnie wakes up on a mountaintop. And in the director's commentary, Richard Kelly said he'd been summoned up there for a duty. I think this god has created many tangent universes to train Donnie for some higher purpose. And Donnie remembers his training through dreams. So what was Donnie being trained for? Well, before I get into my craziest theory, if you do like what you've seen so far, please like and subscribe to my channel and comment below. So, my crazy theory all starts with this line from the psychiatrist.
If this world were to end, there would only be you and him and no one else.
I think this was God speaking through the psychiatrist. Now this sounds like some sort of biblical punishment. You're going to be forever trapped in the void with Frank. So this is what I'm thinking. This god from the future was one of many gods, but he was a rebel. He wanted to manipulate the events of the past to create a future that he could rule in, and he was using Donnie as one of his key pawns. But that rare event occurred and an artifact killed Donnie. So getting reckless, he tried to save Donnie by speaking to him in the Prime universe, this causing a tangent universe with an artifact. The other gods were alerted to this, and maybe they set up a pocket universe so they could all be safe, but they told that god to fix his mess or he's going to spend forever in the void with his pawns. So that god fixes the Prime universe, but in the end does have to sacrifice his key pawn. So that's my theory, and I could be completely wrong, but I had a lot of fun thinking about this, and that's what makes Donnie Darko so good. It has just the right balance of lore and ambiguity. So, should there be more stories told in the Donnie Darko universe? Well, I first have to acknowledge that there was a sequel, S. Darko, but even Richard Kelly himself disavows the movie. But if I was to pitch a movie in the Darko universe, I'd make that about Frank's father, Frank. Now, Donnie's father mentions how Frank's father would go around telling everyone he's doomed, and he died in a car accident. Maybe Frank's father was a precursor to Donnie. He was being trained by this future god, but then found out what the future god's intentions were and rebelled against him, dooming himself. Or maybe go back even further and show the events of how Roberta Sparrow went from a nun to writing the philosophy of time travel. But this doesn't have to be movies, maybe this could be comic books. Comic books set in the Darko universe would be pretty awesome. Or maybe we could turn the original movie into a musical. Or just maybe someone more talented than I am could create a Darko analog horror series. But what do you think? Should the Darko universe be expanded upon, or should it just be left alone? Let me know in the comments below. And again, please like and subscribe. I'm David Basson. I'll see you next time.